Tonight, war in Ukraine, Roxham border crossing, and inflation on the agenda, as leaders of the US and Canada discuss pressing problems in Ottawa. Experts dub the meeting as significant in strengthening ties between two trade and military powers. And Canada's population jumps by over 1 million. The spur in population attributed to ramped up immigration policies, says Statistics Canada. It also makes Canada the fastest growing G7 country. Later in the show, we talk to business coach Sudaf Wine about social media blocking Palestinian advocacy.
Generally, from having conversations with other content creators, other people who follow you, there's often comments and messages I get saying, hey, your Instagram stories aren't showing up on my page anymore, or Instagram's not showing me your posts anymore.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Catherine Bullock. U.S. President Joe Biden is on an official two-day visit to Canada. This is the first time Biden has visited Canada since taking over the presidency 2 years ago. The visit is dubbed as significant by experts as the two heads of the countries will discuss the ongoing war in Ukraine. Other items such as the law and order situation in Haiti and migrants at Quebec's Roxham Road will also be put on the table. Biden's early years in the presidency were marked by tension between the two countries as he rescinded the permit to build the Keystone Pipeline that was to have brought oil from Alberta into the US. First Nations leaders say there is a massive leak at the Curl oil sands mine in northern Alberta. The news comes after representatives from Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, also known as ACFN, were granted access to the Curl tailings pond. After the inspection, the ACFN leaders released a statement saying the leak is worse than expected. The officers say they found toxic water on the ground right next to streams and ponds. There are no barriers between the leak and water streams. Imperial Oil's Curl mine site lies 500 kilometers north of Edmonton. The leak started in May last year, but only became public now. Canada's population, spurred by immigration, has jumped by over 1 million last year. This is the largest increase since the Second World War baby boom, Statistics Canada says. The growth has raised the population to 39.57 million. International migration accounts for 96% of the increase. According to a press release by Statistics Canada, the increase is largely due to the policies of government Prime Minister Justin Trudeau ramping up immigration to ease labour shortages. The data retains Canada's title as the fastest growing G7 country with a growth rate of 2.7%. A ninth round of renewed protests against pension reform are taking place in France. The news comes after the French government used special constitutional powers last week to force its pension plan through, bypassing parliamentary approval. The government revealed the reform project in January. The bill will raise retirement age from 62 to 64 by 2030. This means at least 43 years of work will be required to be eligible for a full pension. Workers and trade unions have since expressed outrage by holding demonstrations and walkouts in various sectors, including transportation, energy, and education. Palestinian advocates who call attention to Israeli government and settler violence have faced blocked Facebook and Instagram accounts for years. We talked to content creator Sudaf Wine about her experiences. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Alaikum salam. Thanks for having me.
Tell us your experience with Instagram and posting about Palestine.
Well, what I've noticed when I post about Palestine or about even the Turkey-Syria earthquake is that the content just doesn't get out to as many people as my other content.
What's your normal content?
My normal content centers around motherhood and spirituality, as well as entrepreneurship. and it's not even shared as much as the Palestinian content is shared. But still, it somehow doesn't get seen as much as it should, and it also affects future content being shared.
Let me ask a kind of technical question from someone who doesn't know much, but how would you know that the content is not being circulated widely?
So when you look into your analytics and your insight, you can see how many times the post is being seen. Impressions, you can see how many times it's being shared. With the types of comments coming in, you can see who is seeing it as well. And then just generally from having conversations with other content creators, other people who follow you, there's often comments and messages I get saying, hey, your stories, your Instagram stories aren't showing up on my page anymore, or Instagram's not showing me your posts anymore. So at first I thought, oh, this is just random. It's the algorithm. And
Mm.
then it continues to happen year over year. So I know it's not just a coincidence.
Can you tell us a little bit more then about what this content is that's being not circulated?
So, with respect to Palestine, anything using the word Palestine, all of us content creators know that that is immediately going to be flagged and it's going to be pushed down with respect to how many people get to see it. So, we've gone to a new method where instead of spelling out the full word Palestine, we use PALI, Pali, or we'll put PAL and then we star out the rest of the letters. Sometimes we even just use the simple letter P and a star. So we know that that word is flagged. And then in terms of what the content looks like when it comes to Palestine, it actually doesn't matter, but video content is more likely to be flagged, to be taken down completely. And then if you do have content taken down, it affects your future ability to post and use the app. So it really leaves content creators with this ethical dilemma where they have to decide, am I going to share this even though it is going to affect my future content and my livelihood if you're making money off of it? So it's this question that we have to ask ourselves. Are we going to continue posting, or do we stop?
You mentioned talking to other content creators about this issue, and now you've just mentioned an ethical dilemma. You're basically going to hurt your bottom line versus wanting to get the word out. What are people telling you about how they make that choice?
So I think it comes so easily to many of us. Like I'm thinking about Maria Mishtaq, Hiba Masood. Some of us did a live a couple of years ago on this topic. And for those of us who are really strong in our values, and one of our values is standing up for those who are oppressed, it's a very simple decision. Like
Mm.
we're on Instagram, but we still uphold those values. So 100%, we are still always going to stand up for those who are oppressed, and we are going to share that content. We're going to continue fighting for Palestine and standing up for what's happening and being honest and using the honest truth. For others who may not have those same values, they've made the decision to not share the content, and to focus on their Instagram as a way to get those brand deals and whatnot. And of course, there's the people who lie in the middle, because what we share on Instagram is not our whole life, right? So there's the folks in the middle who are still supporting in their private lives, whether it's with advocacy, rallies, donations, things like that, but they have protected their Instagram and their sort of bottom line by not sharing it on there. So you can't tell just by looking at someone's Instagram what they're doing, but I know for me and many people in my circle, we know the impact and influence we have as influencers, so we do continue to share.
And this issue is not an unknown one, as you said. You yourself hosted a live about it a couple of years ago, and it's been even into the mainstream newspapers. Well, what do Instagram say why they're blocking the accounts?
Well, I think we all know what Instagram says. They say like that's not happening, and there was a technical glitch that happened, and that's why your content got taken down. Or oh, we were doing like a system reset, and yeah. So Instagram denies all of this. They have specifically spoken out, denying it about the Palestine content. They've denied that completely, and I have put in appeals for some of the content I shared with respect to the Turkey-Syria earthquake that was taken down. I did appeal that, and I never got a response. So I think we all know where Instagram stands. We know who the founder of Instagram is. Uh, yeah, we're basically using that platform on tiptoes sometimes. I'm not, because if they want to kick me out, they can. But yeah, I think we know where they stand, and that is denial, deny, deny, deny.
Hmm. this is going to sound maybe also like a bit of a silly question, but why would it matter? Why would it matter that the account would get blocked or limited circulation?
Yeah, so shadow banned is what we call that limited circulation. So for the account to be blocked or taken down, which by the way has happened to some creators, the reason why that matters is A, like censorship. They're basically censoring people, but then denying that they're doing that. And B, many people have spent years and years, like tens of years, creating these pieces of content and amassing this amount of followers. So to have to start from scratch is really difficult, and it does get, like, from a business perspective, it gets you thinking about who really owns your followers and who really owns your account. It's not you. So that's why it matters with that respect. And with respect to shadow banning, it affects any of your sponsored content that you have coming up. So if you have a brand that you are planning to post content about and they've paid you, if your account is shadow banned, then you're not going to get the results that this brand is looking for, and it will affect your future partnerships with them and other brands as well. So it does affect your bottom line. But I do think that's secondary. The first real issue is that censorship and the idea that Instagram is supposed to be a place where, you express yourself and you can share what you want. But the truth is they are censoring our content.
Can somebody establish their own, another version?
Absolutely. I mean, with anything, they could definitely establish their own Instagram. And I mean, there's so many other apps that have come about. Like TikTok is one, but TikTok is even more censored. For example, it can't be used in China. Like China has their own TikTok, which censors Uyghurs. TikTok in general censors the Uyghurs. And there's just so much to unpack with that. If you haven't heard of the Uyghurs, anyone who's watching, make sure you Google them. It's Uyghurs. But yeah, you can always, of course, start your own app, but there's just so much usership on Instagram, and we've all built ourselves up. It would be very difficult to move over to something else.
Right, so there's been a big investment. Now we're almost out of time, but you mentioned Turkey and Syria, and this is a humanitarian issue. I can't understand why content would be blocked. Can you just share a bit about that?
In the beginning, I couldn't understand why it would be blocked either. And then I realized it's because of Syria and the war and everything surrounding that. And the fact that just Syria in general doesn't get a lot of screen time. And it has to do with the war and just the way that Muslims are perceived. A lot of it is Islamophobia. And in some cases, it was also the graphic nature of some of the videos that were being shared. However, if you think about what other types of videos are being shared on the app, the graphic nature is definitely not reason enough for these videos to be taken down, but definitely used as an excuse as to why they're censoring that content.
Well, we're out of time. Thanks for coming on and just giving us this brief glimpse. And we really hope that as you continue with your advocacy, your business is not harmed. Thanks for the work that you do. And assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for watching. Muslim Network TV needs your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast so that we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad. Thanks for watching.